We can continue on our lesson pertaining to the Shabath. Let's look at we're in 2 Kings. Let's go back to 2 Kings. Let's look at 2 Kings 16th chapter. Let's look at verse 17. 2 Kings 16 and 17. And King Ahaz cut off the borders of the bases and removed the laver from off them, and took down the sea from off the basin oxen that were under it, and put it upon a pavement of stones. And the covert for the Sabbath that they had built in the house in the king's entry without, turned he from the house of the Most High for the king of Assyria. Now the rest of the acts of Ahaz, which he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And after Ahaz slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David, and Hezekiah, his son, reigned in his stead. So just showing you that verse 18 shows us how in the cover for the Sabbath that they had built in the house in the king's entry without, turned he from the house of the Most High for the king of Assyria. So certain things we built especially for the Sabbath day. It was like no other day, other week, or no other day, especially for, because remember the Sabbath days are the holy convocations also. So we had a certain way that we built things for the Sabbath. First Chronicles 9. And as it shows the sons of the priests, First Chronicles 9 and verse 32. And other of their brethren of the sons of the, I'll start at 31. We'll start at 30. And some of the sons of the priests made the ointment of the spices. And Mattathiah, one of the Levites, who was the firstborn of Shalom, the Korahite, had the set office over the things that were made in the pans. And other of their brethren, or the sons of Kohathites, were over the showbread to prepare it every Sabbath. So they prepared the showbread every Sabbath day. You see? So here we are looking at the duties that he had to do. He had to prepare the showbread every Sabbath. And these are the singers, chief of the fathers of the Levites, remaining in the chambers were free, for they were employed in that work day and night. Singers, you see? Music. For all you that don't like music, they had singers. We had singers. When you read the Psalms, they were all songs. All songs that King David Remember, he played the harp, which is just like the piano. If you turn the piano upright, or you take the harp and you lay it horizontally, the harp was vertically standing up with the strings. That's what the piano is. They just put keys on those strings. Beautiful. So we had certain duties that we done on the Sabbath. It wasn't just, just a day you just fall out and rest and sleep. You had to have your mind function. A lot of people don't. If you don't like to use your mind, they got a commercial say they have an egg that'd be fine. They say a brain is a terrible thing to waste, and that's what you're doing. You wasting your mind. You're wasting your mind away. Why not have, first and foremost, the blessing of the Most High and doing what He say do, especially on His day. This is His day, the Sabbath. 2 Chronicles 23. Let's look at verse 3. And all the congregation made a covenant with the king in the house of the Most High. And he said unto them, Behold, the king's son shall reign, as the Most High have said of the sons of David. This is the thing that ye shall do. A third part of you entering on the Sabbath of the priests and of the Levites shall be porters of the doors. So they're going to be at the door, at the doors. And the third part shall be at the king's house, and the third part at the gate of the foundation. And all the people shall be in the courts of the house of the Most High. But let none come into the house of the Most High save the priests, and they that minister of the Levites. They shall go in, but they are holy. But all the people shall keep the watch of the Most High. And the Levites shall compass the king round about, every man with his weapons in his hand. And whosoever else cometh into the house, he shall be put to death. But be ye with the king where he cometh in, when he cometh in, and where he goeth out. So the Levites and all Judah did according to all things that Joiada the priest had commanded, and took every man his men that were to come in on the Sabbath, with them that were to go out on the Sabbath. For Joiada the priest dismissed not the courses. They had to do it. Moreover, Joiada the priest delivered to the captains of hundreds spears and bucklers and shields that had been King David's, which were in the house of the Most High. These are weapons of war. And he set all the people, every man having his weapon in his hand, from the right side of the temple to the left side of the temple, along by the altar and the temple by the king round about, surrounding the king. And they brought out the king's son, and put upon him the crown, and gave him the testimony, and made him king. And Joiada and his sons anointed him, and said, Most High say the king. See? Same story we read earlier, but just giving us, like I say, the Most High speak once, say twice, man perceive it not. So, let's go to, that's what I say, man, we gotta really look within ourselves, because at any day or any time we could come down with ADHD, spiritual ADHD, where we're not really, looking at this for what it is. That's why we have the examples here. That's why you gotta study your Bible, be approved unto the Most High. 2 Chronicles 36. 21. To fulfill the word of the Most High by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land had enjoyed her Sabbaths. For as long as she lay desolate, she kept Sabbaths. She kept Sabbath to fulfill 70 years. You know how many like that is? That's 70 years. 70 years. We were in captivity under the Babylonians, Ethiopians, and so forth. The score is 20, so 3 score is 60 and 10 years, 70 years. Now verse 22 let us know, even in his story, which is history, which I call his story, you see it says, now in the first year of Cyrus king of Persia, that the word of the Most High spoke by the mouth of Jeremiah might be accomplished, the Most High stirred up the spirit of Cyrus king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, and put it also in writing, saying, thus says Cyrus king of Persia. Because the Persian Mede Empire came in, a joint empire came in to take down the Babylonian Empire, and we were in captivity under them too. Thus say Cyrus king of Persia, all the kingdoms of the earth hath the most high power of heaven given me, and he hath charged me to build him an house in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Who is there among you of all his people? The Most High, his power be with you, and let him go up. Build a house. Allow us to build a house. That's why you look at, when you talk about captivity, slavery, and bondage and so forth, you look at Cyrus. He allowed us to build our temple. He ordained it. It started with him. But look at Daniel's, so you understand what he's saying, the Most High. The Most High only know Israel, but look what he did, what he says. Daniel's 4:17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and a demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men. See? So the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. Now, Cyrus decreed, as we just read, that the temple, men of Israel, would go and build the temple to the Most High. Go back to Israel and build the temple. Now, when you can go, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but you can read it yourself. But there's a story in the Apocrypha concerning what he had ordained in building our temple, that we can go and serve the Most High power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, go to 1 Ezra, the 4th chapter, and we're going to look at the man. It was, you can read the whole story on your own, but they was wondering what would be the greatest, the king or wine, and the third one was the truth and women, and the third one won, the truth and then women. So in the truth, we understand it's the laws of the Most High. So when we look at this, the man that said truth and then women, he overruled all of what they could say concerning the king and wine. So when we look at 1 Ezra, the 4th chapter, let's start at verse 38. See, as for the truth, it endureth and is always strong. It liveth and conquereth forevermore. That's forever. The law, statutes, commandments of the Most High. For her, there is no accepting of persons or rewards. but she doeth the things that are just, and refraineth from all unjust and wicked things. And all men do well like of her works. If everybody followed the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, his rules and regulations, you'd be all right. Neither in her judgment is any unrighteousness. And she is the strength, kingdom, power, and majesty of all ages. Blessed be the Most High of truth. And with that he held his peace. And all the people then shouted and said, Great is the truth, great is truth, and mighty above all things. Then said the king unto him, Ask what thou wilt, more than is appointed in the writings. Say, ask what you want, even more than what I wrote in the writings. And we will give it thee, because thou art found wiser. Thou art found wisest, and thou shalt sit next me, and shall be called my cousin. Then said he unto the king, listen to what he said to the king, Remember thy vow, which thou hast vowed to build Jerusalem, in the day when thou camest to thy kingdom, in the day that he came to his kingdom, and to send away all the vessels that were taken away out of Jerusalem, which Cyrus set apart, when he vowed to destroy Babylon, and to send them again thither. Thou also hast vowed to build up the temple. This is what I want you to see. Thou also hast vowed to build up the temple which the Edomites burned, when Judea was made desolate by the Chaldeans. See? When we went into captivity, that's 70 years, when that started, when they came, the Babylonians came to put us in captivity, the Edomites burned down our temples. When they came to take us into captivity. The Ethiopians, the Chaldeans are the Ethiopians, so-called Africans, Hamites. Verse 46, And now, O Lord the King, this is that which I require, and which I desire of thee. And this is the price, the princely liberality proceeding from thyself. I desire therefore that thou make good the vow, the performance whereof with thine own mouth thou hast vowed to the King of heaven. See? With his own mouth, he said, hey, you vowed to the King of heaven, to the Most High. Then Darius the king stood up and kissed him, and wrote letters for him unto all the treasurers and lieutenants and captains and governors, that they should safely convey on their way both him and all those that go up with him to build Jerusalem. That's like we just read in the scriptures, showing that the Apocrypha goes right along with these scriptures. He wrote letters also unto the lieutenants and that were in Seleucia, and Phoenix, and unto them in Lebanon, that they should bring cedar wood from Lebanon unto Jerusalem, and that they should build the city with him. Moreover, he wrote for all the Jews that went out of his realm up into Jewry concerning their freedom, that no officer, no ruler, no lieutenant, nor treasurer should forcibly enter into their doors. I mean, they couldn't just force their way into our doors. And that all the country, listen to this closely, and that all the country which they hold should be free without tribute. And that the Edomites should give over the villages of the Jews which then they held. Hear that? See, they burned our temples down. We couldn't come back to worship. And it was holding on to where we're supposed to be at. Sound familiar? They're over there right now in our land. Once again, verse 50. And that all the country which they hold should be free without tribute, meaning we have to pay any taxes. And that the Edomites should give over the villages of the Jews which then they held. You got to give it up. Give it back. Yeah. And there should be yearly given 20 talents to the buildings of the temple until the time that it were built, and other 10 talents yearly to maintain the burnt offerings upon the altar every day, as they had a commandment to offer 17. And that all they that went from Babylon to build the city should have free liberty, as well they as their posterity and all the priests that went away. He wrote also concerning the charges and the priests' vestments wherein they minister, and likewise for the charges of the Levites to be given them, until the day that the house were finished and Jerusalem builded up. And he commanded to give to all that kept the city pensions and wages, meaning giving them monies for their labor. He sent away also all the vessels from Babylon that Cyrus had set apart, and all that Cyrus had given in commandment. The same charged he also to be done, and sent unto Jerusalem. Gave us back our vessels, holy vessels, and so forth. Now when this young man was gone forth, he lifted up his face to heaven toward Jerusalem, to the east, toward the Most High, and praised the King of heaven, praised the Most High, and said, From thee cometh victory, from thee cometh wisdom, and thine is the glory, and I am thy servant. Blessed art thou, O Yahweh, who have given me wisdom. For to thee I give thanks, O Most High of our fathers. And so he took the letters and went out and came unto Babylon and told it all his brethren. And they praised the Most High of their fathers, because he had given them freedom and liberty to go up and to build Jerusalem and the temple, which is called by his name. And they feasted with instruments of music and gladness 7 days. See? That's why when you look at it, these other nations outside from the enemies and the haters of the Most High named in Psalms 83rd chapter, you see, this is love. Allow us to go and build our temple, that we can go into our temple and praise the Most High power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They understood this. This kingdoms now, nope, they're going to keep us back from as much as they can from honoring our power. But you see what he asked for? He had been the cousin sitting next to the king. He said, no, he didn't want that. What did he ask for? Something for his nation. To build the temple back so we can go and praise the Most High. Give him the glory. My Lord Yah. That's right. That's what it's all about. That's why I tell you all the time, if it's something for the Most High, something for Mashiach Yahushua, better look at them first before you look at yourself. That's why it's written. Nehemiah 9. Nehemiah 9. And let's look at Ezra's prayer. Ezra's 9. Nehemiah 9, Salakia. This is Ezra's. We're going to go through his prayer. It says, and in the 24th day of this month, the children of Israel were assembled with fasting and with sackcloth and earth upon them. It's humility. But you see what it say? In the 24th day of this month, you don't say no day of the week or any of that. The 24th day of this month, counting the days of the month, the children of Israel were assembled with fasting and with sackcloth and earth upon them. They had fast, there was fasting and with sackcloth, it's like burlap, and earth upon them. You know, we put the dirt all over us. For humility. And the seed of Israel separated themselves from all strangers, and stood and confessed their sins and iniquity of their fathers. So we are fasting and praying, and we confessed our sins. And we separate ourselves from all strangers. There are two types of strangers. You got a stranger that's someone that's an Israelite that you don't know, that's, you know, and you got the strangers of the other lands or other nations. Verse 3, and they stood up in their place and read in the book of the law of the Most High their power 1/4 part of the day. That's of the Spirit. So they read 1/4 part of the day, which is how many days? How many hours? 6 hours. And another 4th part, they confessed and worshiped the Most High power, their power. So that's another 6 hours. That's 12 hours total. Then stood up upon the stairs of the Levites, Jeshua and Benai, Hadmiel, Shebaniah, Benai, Sherebiah, Benai, and Shenani, and cried with a loud voice unto the Most High their power. Then the Levites, Jeshua and Gadmiel, Benai, Hashabniah, Sherebiah, Hodijah, Shebaniah, and Pethahiah said, stand up and bless the Most High, your power forever and ever, and blessed be thy glorious name, which is exalted above all blessing and praise. Thou, even thou, art the Most High alone. Thou hast made heaven and the earth and the heavens with all their hosts, the earth and all things that are therein, the seas and all that is therein. And thou preservest them all, and the host of heaven worshipeth thee. Thou art the Most High, the power who didst choose Abram, and brought him forth out of Ur of the Chaldeans, and gave him the name of Abraham, and found of his heart faithful before thee, and made a covenant with him to give the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Jebusites, and the Girgashites, to give it, I say, to his seed, and has performed thy words, for thou art righteous. So he gave those are Hamites, so-called African, that was inhabiting the land of Canaan. The Most High gave it to us. And did see the affliction of our fathers in Egypt, and heard of their cry by the Red Sea. Cried to the Most High. He heard our cry by the Red Sea. And showed signs and wonders upon Pharaoh, and on all his servants, and on all the people of his land. But thou knewest that they dealt proudly against them. So dost thou get thee a name, as it is this day. See, the Most High, he got him a name from all them 10 plagues he put on the Egyptians, and on their lands, and on them, when he killed the firstborn son of every mammal. It says, and thou didst divide the sea before them, so that they went through the midst of the sea on dry ground. And their persecutors thou strewest into the deeps, as a stone into the mighty waters. Drowned Pharaoh and his chariots and his men. Moreover, thou leddest them in the day by a cloudy pillar, and in the night by a pillar of fire, to give them light in the way wherein they should go. Those are the chariots that led us, a cloud by day and fiery chariot by night.
Can you imagine that? In the daytime, it was like a cloud, smooth. We following it, and at night it turned into fire around it. And when it stopped, that's where we had camp.
Thou camest down also upon Mount Sinai, and spakest with them from heaven, and gavest them right judgments, and true laws, good statutes and commandments, and made it known unto them thy holy Sabbath. See this? And made it known unto them thy holy Sabbath. And made it known unto them, for understanding, thy holy Sabbath. Because you know what I already said in verse 13? He spake with them from heaven and gave them right judgments and true laws, good statutes, and commandments. But what's the first thing it say concerning these commandments? And made it known unto them thy holy Sabbath, and commanded them precepts, statutes, and laws by the hand of Moses thy servant, and gave them bread from heaven for their hunger, and brought forth water for them out of the rock for their thirst, and promises them that they should go in to possess the land which thou hast sworn to give them. But they and our fathers dealt proudly, and hardened their necks, and hardened not to thy commandments, and refused to obey, neither were mindful of thy wonders that thou didst among them, but hardened their necks, and in their rebellion appointed a captain to return to their bondage. But thou art of power, ready to pardon, gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and forsooketh them not. Yeah, when they had made them a molten calf, and said, this is thy power, this is your power, that brought thee up out of Egypt, and had wrought great provocations. Yet thou in thy manifold mercies forsook them not in the wilderness. The pillar of the cloud departed not from them by day, to lead them in the way, neither the pillar of fire by night, to show them light, and the way wherein they should go. He kept the chariots to continue to lead us for 40 years. Thou gavest also thy good spirit to instruct them, and withheld it not thy manna from their mouth, and gavest them water for their thirst. See? Most High still allowed the spirit, this good spirit of Mashiach Yahushua at that time, to instruct us. Because nobody ever seen the Most High. Period. That's why I say he spoke to us from the fourth dimension. Yeah, 40 years did thou sustain them in the wilderness, so that they lack nothing. See? Their clothes wax not old, and their feet swell not. 40 years traveling in the wilderness. The clothes didn't get old, and the feet didn't swell. Moreover, thou gavest them kingdoms and nations, and didst divide them into corners. So they possessed the land of Sihon, and the land of the king of Heshbon, and the land of Og, king of Bashan. Their children also multiplied thou as the stars of heaven, and broughtest them into the land concerning which thou hast promised to their fathers, that they should go in to possess it. So the children went in and possessed the land, and thou subduest before them the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, and gavest them into their hands with their kings and the people of the land, that they might do with them as they would, whatever they wanted to do to them. And they took strong cities and a fat land, and possessed houses full of all goods, wells digged, vineyards, and olive yards, and fruit trees in abundance. So they did eat and were filled, and became fat, and delighted themselves in thy great goodness. Nevertheless, they were disobedient, and rebelled against thee, and cast thy law behind their backs, and slew thy prophets, which testified against them to turn them to thee. And they wrought great provocations, all kind of wickedness. Killed the prophets that were sent to tell them the truth, the laws of the Most High.
and come out of this rebellious state of mind, hard-headed and stiff-necked.
Therefore thou delivered them into the hand of their enemies, who vexed them. And in the time of their trouble, when they cried unto thee, thou heardest them from heaven.
See, that's the only time that the Most High ever released us. We cried unto the Most High during the time of Jacob's trouble.
And according to thy manifold mercies, thou gavest them saviors, who saved them out of the hand of their enemies.
And see, our Savior is a Mashiach Yahushai, who gonna save us out of the hand of our enemies and out of the hand of all that hate us. As it's written in Luke 1:68-71. That's salvation.
But after they had rest, they did evil again before thee. Therefore leftest thou them in the hand of their enemies, so that they had the dominion over them. Yet when they returned and cried unto thee, once again, thou heardest them from heaven. And many times did thou deliver them according to thy mercies.
So you know, understand this. Why did the Most High have to touch you personally before you cry to him? Like everybody, something bad happened, oh, everybody start calling him, oh God, 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 or Most High, whatever name you call him. See, our condition is Jacob's trouble now. We got to learn to do this. This is the only thing that works. You hear it. Most High speak once, yea, twice, man perceive it not. We was in dire strait. We cried to the Most High. He delivered us. Sent a deliverer to deliver us. Now we got to cry that he sent a Mashiach Yahushai to set righteousness up on this earth.
And testify against them, verse 29, that thou mightest bring them again unto thy law. See?
Mightest bring them again into the law. So now we follow the law. That's how salvation is going to come to Israel. From doing what's right according to the law of the Most High.
Yet they deal proudly.
So when you don't want to deal with the Most High's law, you prideful. You're a very prideful person.
And hearken not unto thy commandments, but sin against thy judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. And withdrew the shoulder, and hardened their neck, and would not hear. Yet many years did thou forbear them, and testify against them by thy spirit in thy prophets. Yet would they not give ear. They didn't want to listen. Therefore gavest thou them into the hand of the people of the lands,
our enemies, into captivity, slavery, and bondage.
Nevertheless, for thy great mercy's sake, thou didst not utterly consume them, and destroy us completely, nor forsake them, for thou art a gracious and merciful power. Hallelujah. Now therefore our power, the great, the mighty, and the terrible power, who keepeth covenant and mercy, let not all the trouble seem little before thee that has come upon us, on our kings, on our princes, and on our princes, our priests.
Welcome to the conference. You will now enter the conference. Only organizers can be heard.
We're in Nehemiah, the 9th chapter. Verse 31. Nevertheless, for thy great mercy's sake, thou didst not utterly consume them, nor forsake them. For thou art a gracious and merciful power. Now therefore our power, the great, the mighty, and the terrible power, who keepeth covenant and mercy, let not all the trouble seem little before thee that has come upon us, on our kings, on our princes, and on our priests, and on our prophets, and on our fathers, and on all thy people, since the time of the kings of Assyria unto this day. Howbeit, thou art just in all that is brought upon us, for thou hast done right, but we have done wickedly. See?
in bringing that judgment upon us, the Most High is done right. But we were wicked in not following what he told us to do. Neither have our kings, our princes, our priests, nor our fathers kept thy law, nor hearkened unto thy commandments and thy testimonies, wherewith thou didst testify against them. For they have not served thee in their kingdom, and in thy great goodness that thou gavest them, and in the large and fat land which thou gavest before them. Neither turn they from their wicked works. Behold, we are servants this day. And for the land that thou gavest us unto our fathers, to eat the fruit thereof and the good thereof, behold, we are servants in it. So we servants in our own land. And it yielded much increase unto the kings whom thou hast set over us because of our sins. So these kings were set up over us, and you in power right now because of the Israelites' sins. Also, they have dominion over our bodies and over our cattle at their pleasure, and we are in great distress. And because of all this, we make a sure covenant and write it, and all princes, Levites, and priests seal unto it. Man, that's the only time that you see that the Most High have mercy upon us, and we cried unto him. He let all these nations be over us. When he said that we follow his commandments, he will set us above all nations. But we didn't. So therefore, we're in the condition that we're in today, to this day. His law is real. His law is true. And it's being fulfilled as I speak. Look at Nehemiah, the 10th chapter. Look at Nehemiah 10 and 28. And the rest of the people, the priests, the Levites, and the porters, the singers, the Nethinims, and all they that have separated themselves from the people of the lands unto the law of the Most High, their wives, their sons, and their daughters, every one having knowledge and having understanding. They clave to their brethren, their nobles, and entered into a curse and into an oath to walk in the Most High's law, which was given by Moses, the servant of the Most High, and to observe and do all the commandments of the Most High, our power, and his judgments and his statute, making this decree. And that we would not give our daughters unto the people of the land, nor take their daughters for our sons. And if the people of the land bring ware or any victuals on the Sabbath day to sell, that we would not buy it of them on the Sabbath. See, you're supposed to be selling and buying on the Sabbath, or on the holy day, or on a holy day. You're supposed to be buying and selling. And that we would leave the 7th year and the exaction of every debt. So every 7 years the debts will be dismissed. Also we made ordinances for us to charge ourselves yearly with the 3rd part of a shekel for the service of the house of the Most High, of our power. To go to the priest to take care of what needs to be taken care of in the temple. For the showbread, and for the continual meat offering, and for the continual burnt offering of the Sabbaths, of the new moons, for the set feasts, and for the holy things, and for the sin offerings, to make an atonement for Israel, and for all the work of the house of our power. And we cast the lots among the priests and the Levites and the people for the wood offering, to bring it into the house of our power, or after the houses of our fathers, at times appointed, year by year, to burn upon the altar of the Most High, our power, as it is written in the law. And see, these are the things that we done to make it right with the Most High.
Nehemiah 13. And we can read verse 1 first. Nehemiah 13 and 1. And it reads, on that day they read in the book of Moses in the audience of the people, and therein was found written that the Ammonite and the Moabite should not come into the congregation of the Most High forever. And that's written. Because they met not the children of Israel. This is why. Because they met not the children of Israel with bread and with water, but hired Balaam against them, that he should curse them. Howbeit our power turned the curse into a blessing. Now look at Deuteronomy 23 and 3. Deuteronomy 23 and 3. See, the Ammonite represent the indigenous, I might say, Japanese. The Moabites represent indigenous Chinese. So they can't come in the congregation forever because they didn't allow us to go through their land and give us bread. Deuteronomy 23 and verse 3. An Ammonite or Moabite, this is where you get it from. An Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of the Most High. Even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of the Most High forever. See? That's what they're saying, forever. Because they met you not with bread and with water in the way. When you came forth out of Egypt, we came out of Egyptian captivity. And because they hired against thee Balaam, the son of Beor, and Bethor of Mesopotamia to curse thee. Nevertheless, the Most High thy power would not hearken unto Balaam, but the Most High thy power turned the curse into a blessing unto thee, because the Most High thy power loved thee. See? Thou shalt not seek their peace nor their prosperity all thy days forever. See? Look at Jeremiah 48. Go to Jeremiah, the 48th chapter. Jeremiah 48 and 47. Yet will I bring again the captivity of Moab in the latter days, said the Most High. Thus far is the judgment of Moab. You can read about the judgment of Moab and some against Ammon within that chapter. Isaiah 25. So judgment is coming amongst these nations, the enemies and the haters of the Most High. Isaiah 25 and verse 9. And it shall be said in that day, lo, this is our power. We have waited for him, and he will save us. This is the Most High, Wamashek Avashai. We have waited for him. We will be glad and rejoice in his salvation. For in this mountain shall the hand of the Most High rest, and Moab shall be trodden down under him, even as straw is trodden down for the dunghill. And he shall spread forth his hands in the midst of them, and he that swimmeth spreadeth forth his hands to swim, and he shall bring down their pride together with the spoils of their hands. And the fortress of the high fort of thy walls shall he bring down, lay low, and bring to the ground, even to the dust. That is the victory
of Mashiach Yahushua, to the power of the Most High against them. Praise ye the Most High. Because I mean, he's prideful. Moab, Ammon, and Esau always hung together, always was together in these scriptures. And Moab, Ammon, and the Jewish people, so-called Jewish people today, had us in captivity for 18 years. Yeah. As it is written in the captivities of Israel. Let's go to Nehemiah 13, back to Nehemiah 13. Book it right there. Nehemiah 13. Start at verse 15. In those days saw I Judah, some treading wine presses on the Sabbath. See? In those days saw I in Judah some treading wine presses on the Sabbath, and bringing in sheaves, and lading asses, and also wine, grapes, and figs, and all manner of burdens, working, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. And I testified against them in the day wherein they sold victuals, brought it in and was selling on the Sabbath day. There dwelt men of Tyre also therein, these so-called Africans, which brought fish and all manner of ware and sold on the Sabbath unto the children of Judah and in Jerusalem, selling on the Sabbath and buying on the Sabbath. Then I contended with the nobles of Judah and said unto them, what evil thing is this that ye do, and profane the Sabbath day? So then you know, you're supposed to be buying and selling on the Sabbath day. Did not your fathers thus? Didn't your fathers do the same thing? Did not our power bring all this evil upon us and upon this city? Yet ye bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Sabbath. See? And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, hear that? The gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, dark. Not just when the sun go down. The gates of Jerusalem began to be dark